Welcome back to London Go. The Red Mansion Art Prize was set up in 2002 to promote artistic exchange between China and the UK. Each year, one student is selected from each of 7 of the UK's foremost art colleges. The students are then given the chance to travel to China for a month, where they're given studio space and live and work alongside local artists. An exhibition of their work during that time is now being held at the Slade Research Centre. It opens today and is on for a week. Nicolette Kwok is the director of the Red Mansion Foundation, and she joins me now. What's the idea behind this scheme?
Well, I married a Chinese man quite a long time ago now, about 20 years ago. And people were always saying, isn't it strange to be married to a Chinese person? Do you have anything in common? This was obviously well before the Olympics and before people were familiarizing themselves or getting familiar with China. And people thought it is a very monolithic country, very grey, nothing is allowed. And we thought it would be very nice to send people to China and let them see with their own eyes that China isn't only that, it's also, there's a lot of freedom actually for individuals and for artists, and this is what the art students always find out. That
so there's a hope to inspire them as much as inspiring the locals with British art?
Well, it is about inspiration, but it's also a way for my husband and me to show that people from all over the world have things in common. And so we chose to do it through art. There are obviously other ways you could do this, but we both like art a lot, and we thought it would be an interesting way to open a door to China. And when these people come back, they make work inspired by their stay in China and their travels through China. And this gives them another opportunity and gives many more British people an opportunity to have a little look into China through the works or through the eyes of those artists that have come back and made work.
Well, let's see some of that work now. I think the first we have is Adam Teilicki. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right.
Yeah.
Tell us about his work.
Well, this is a very interesting video he did. You can see that at the Woburn Space at the Slade. He's filmed somebody who is trying to sell a piece of art but as scrap metal, because I think people don't recognize the value of the art and think, well, how much is it worth as metal? 50p maybe, a pound? So he's bargaining with the client for his piece of scrap metal.
Absolutely fascinating. The next one we have is by Caddy Fröhlich.
Yeah, Caddy was fascinated by the fact that there was cable lying around everywhere, because obviously you've read China is a country in transition. Everything is being built overnight virtually. And there is indeed cable and building materials lying around everywhere. And so this is a play on these cables that she actually brought back from China, and not just cables, but she brought back batteries and other electrical equipment.
And the next one we're going to see up is Dominic Horgood.
Dominic is a very well-known photographer already, even though he's just graduated from the Royal College. He builds up his images with the computer, with the 3D program. That is far too complicated to explain on television, but it is very fascinating, and it's extremely high resolution images.
Yes, well, he's actually got an exhibition at the moment, hasn't he, at the T.J. Bolton Gallery in London. So already in art school, but
he has had
making
several prizes
waves.
already before the Red Mansion Art Prize, yes.
The next one we're going to see is by Julie Bourne-Schwartz.
Julie's a student at the Royal Academy, and she's taken these postcards from different places in China. I mean, she has a lot of different strings on her bow, but this particular series of miniature works that she framed for the show just show a lot of different aspects, and mostly fun parks, mostly taken from fun parks in China that tend to be a little bit depressing, but some of the parks have actually been abandoned for a lack of clients, I suppose. And
so they've gone from being fun to something slightly more sinister.
Quite sad, yeah.
The next one we see is Emily Motto.
Emily Motto is one of the students from the Ruskin in Oxford, and she works with materials that she finds. She, again, has so many different strands of work. There's a diary here by her that shows beautifully, finely painted works, but she also does enormous installations, which are I mean, these are built up of pixelated photographs, huge blow-ups of photographs that she took in China. But she has different strands of work, and she just wants to watch people's reaction to the work, a bit like how she watched people in China. And again, people watched her in China.
And what was the reaction to her work there?
Not to her work, but to her, I suppose, observing. People are still, even though there have been a lot of Westerners traveling to China since the Olympic Games, really, but people are still fascinated by these tall people with big noses, and they always want to know what the artists are doing. They're incredibly interested in art, and they don't see it as an investment, but obviously it's a way to have a look into each other's culture.
The last one we're going to see is by Tristan Barlow.
This is a tiny watercolor, very different from his strand of very large oil paintings. And this is obviously inspired by the tradition of Chinese ink painting, shui mo hua. And they're very pretty and abstract, which is unusual because Chinese art, Chinese ink painting tends to not be abstract at all. It always conforms to very strict rules and conventions of landscape painting. But actually, they do look like very abstract landscapes, I suppose.
You say it's very small. How big is that for scale? So it's like
15 by
A5, maybe?
Yeah, A5.
Okay,
Yeah.
very small. You said before it's not, they didn't have a, you're not interested in investment. So is there a market, are these students finding a market for their work out in China?
No, I don't think that is the aim of this project at all. But of course, Chinese art has gone through an enormous rise and a little bit of a fall as well since 2008. It's become, you know, as the country emerged, of course, its artists emerged, and I'm sure you've heard of artists like Ai Weiwei and Yue Minju and Feng Lijun. There are a lot of artists that are now firmly established in the, I would say, the pantheon of international artists whose work fetches millions of dollars. And but these artists that we send to China are obviously art students, and we just want to give them, you know, a new source of inspiration. Let them see with their own eyes how China is very different, I think, from what everybody expects. Everybody has preconceived ideas about what the country and its people must be like, and we just try to not refute, but prove them wrong or show them.
Well, Nicolette Kwok, thank you very much. If you want to see that for your own eyes of what this is, it's on at the Slade Research Centre from today. That's the Red Mansion Prize exhibition.